Hello guys and welcome back. Okay, so today I really want to do a rescape of this tank. It's been running for a little over 6 months now, and as much as I love how it looks, I can see that there are a few problems with this tank, a few design issues when I built it, and I want to fix them today. And I'm going to do a replant of the back section because there's a giant fan at the back. So this is the whole back section of the tank, and you can see it's completely filled up with ferns. So I actually only planted 3 small ferns here, and they've literally become massive. I don't know if you can see with the reflection, but it's taken up the whole section of the tank. It's pressed against the glass. It's just become this massive mess. There's also some algae here. We can see there's some staghorn, and I'm going to be treating that today as well. So that's going to be quite an easy fix. So I'm going to be replanting that back section with this. So I have some rotala here that I planted a couple of weeks ago, and it's been doing really well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these out and I'm going to plant them where the ferns are. I do think I'm going to be doing this section as well it just has a massive fern. It's completely taken over, and it's really getting in the way of light on this side of the tank as well. So there's a lot of pulling ferns out today. I do also think that I am going to need to address the moss issue today. The weeping moss looks amazing. It looks really mature. It's grown over the hardscape, but it's just, again, it's taken over. There's not much light coming to the bucephalandras, so I do think I'm going to trim it back today. Does look nice, but it's just completely grown over. There's also moss growing inside of the bucephalandras. It's just a mess right now, and everything, even the crypts, they need like a massive trim back. Gonna bring my table a little closer. It's just gonna be easier because I do think there's so many ferns that I'm gonna need support. Okay, so that's all of my stuff. I'm gonna get started. I feel like this is gonna be a long afternoon. So there are quite a lot of shrimp in this tank, so I'm gonna be careful. And I might have to check the ferns once I've taken them out. It's actually gonna come out in like one big piece. That is massive. Like, look at that. That's literally just, I can't believe I planted 3 ferns. It's actually swallowed the hardscape. Like, check that out. There's moss in it as well. Okay, so it has some fresh water. I've got a white bucket, and I find it's just easier to have a white bucket or a light bucket just to be able to see the shrimp a lot better. I have a black bucket and I can never see anything, so this one is pretty good. So I'm just going to leave them in there, and I will go through them a little later to see if there are any shrimp. Obviously, I'm not throwing any of this away. It's going to be sitting in a holding tank, and maybe I will use it for an upcoming project. So this is what the back section is looking like now that the fern has been removed. We can see like there's a lot of gunk, and it was actually creating a dead spot where there's no circulation at the back of this tank. We can see how much build up, detritus and mulm there is there. So I'm going to siphon that out, and then I'm going to start planting. So now that the back section is nice and clear, I'm gonna pull out the rotala. I'm gonna section it up so then I can plant this back section. I'm gonna show you guys something pretty cool. So this is like a normal stem, right, that has grown vertically. And this is a stem that has hit the surface and started to grow horizontally. When the stem hit the surface, it started actually to bend itself, and what it does, it starts producing these little roots. And you could technically just cut each of these off, and this would create a new stem, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So this is a good technique if you don't have a lot of stem plants and you want to do a replant. You can just let them hit the surface, and when they do, they start growing like this and you have a lot more stems. So I'm just going to portion them like this, being careful to keep the root. It's going to just ensure that they grow a little faster. And there you go, that's just one stem right there. You can also take one long stem like this and just portion it into 3 pieces and replant all 3. And that's also what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I finished portioning everything up. So I have about 20 to 21 stems here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see too well because there is a little bit of a reflection. It's also like a really tight squeeze here. So I'm going to do my best for filming. What I'm going to be doing with these stems, as they grow, I'm going to be trimming and replanting the ends of them. So then I'm really going to have a bright red and pink back section. And it's just going to add also a focal point to the tank. It's going to add a pop of color in the back, which is going to be pretty cool, I do think. I keep bumping into my light, and I think in like 5 minutes it's going to finish on top of the moss. That's actually freed up so much of the back section. That's going to be really good for water circulation. So before I go any further, I'm going to treat the staghorn algae I have in the tank. So I'm just going to be using, this is sorry, I'm like translating from French. This is hydrogen peroxide. So I'm just going to load it up into this small syringe and I'm going to apply it straight onto the algae. Okay, so I'm going to do the back section on the other side, and I think this one has literally just grown on and into a piece of the hardscape, so I think I'm actually going to have to rip out the piece of hardscape. So I'm going to try and not break anything here because, again, pretty tight spot. How cool does that look? It literally looks like a mini tree. So I'm gonna rip the fern off, go and put it in the bucket, and then I'm gonna put this piece of hardscape back into place. In this second back section, I have 2 types of stems that I planted. So I have some bacopa here. So I don't know if I'm gonna use the bacopa or if I'm gonna use, this is, I don't remember what kind of rotala this one is. This is green rotala. I'm probably going to use this one actually because I like how small the leaves are. So here I'm just portioning them like I did the other plants. So then I can plant this back section. What's going to be nice is there's going to be one back section that's going to be like this big ball of red plants, and on the other side it's going to be a light lime green color. So it's really going to contrast, and I think it's going to give back some of the depth to this scape because like the back was completely swallowed with the ferns. It's also going to be a lot easier for maintenance. I should just come along with a pair of scissors and just chop all the stems, and it's going to be a lot easier than having a bunch of big fans at the back where water can't pass through the plants. Sorry guys if the filming angles haven't been good on this video. It's such a tight squeeze. I'm actually filming against the wall right now. So again, I'm gonna try my best so you guys can see what I'm doing, but it's not easy. Almost forgot to put the piece of hardscape back into the tank. So I'm gonna do that now and I'm gonna be able to plant around it. Before I do a really big water change and do a big cleanup, I'm gonna trim the moss a little bit and then I'm gonna call it a day. Some parts I'm just gonna pull out by hand, especially at the top, so then there's not like little pieces that are gonna get everywhere. It's already gonna be a mess to clean it up. I finished pulling out all the moss and there's a lot of moss. Like, check out how much moss there is here. That's a lot of moss. So I don't know if I'm going to be keeping all this because there's just so much of it. I already have quite a lot of moss in one of my other tanks. So I do think this one is going to go on the compost pile. Okay, so now I'm going to do a massive water change because the tank it's filthy right now, and then I'm going to be done. We are now 2 days later and the tank is looking a lot different from what it was when I first started trimming it. So it's looking kind of bare, it's looking very, very cut back. So it would be considered a hard reset to do something like this, but because I do plan on keeping this tank to about the end of the year, I think it's going to do it some good. It's going to take anywhere between 1 to 2 months to really start to grow back into the shape it was in before I started trimming. So actually not that long for a mature tank. So as always, there will be an update on this tank in a couple of months once it's nice and grown in, so you guys can really see the before and after. There's also going to be an update video on the citric acid and baking soda CO2 system on this tank that will be up I do think around September, so you guys can see the whole update concerning this tank. And that's it for this week's video. I will see you guys next week where I'm actually going to be tearing down one of my tanks. Try and guess which tank I'm going to be tearing down, and I will see you guys next week for a new video.